Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a story for you here today titled, I Cannot Believe This. A 20-something-year-old false accuser gets fired from her tech job. So this is another one of those situations where a woman falsely accuses a man, right? And she's surprised when there are consequences to her own actions. I personally think that this woman got off lightly. As you guys know, I think the consequences for, falsely accusing a man should be very severe, because that way there would be significantly less women who would be willing to risk these false accusations, which, by the way, they know are false in the first place. So oftentimes, guys like dudes are out here and they're getting their lives ruined by this sort of stuff. So don't forget to like the video on your way in. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new here. And let's take a listen to this story. So, a 29-year-old man shares his experience of being falsely accused of misconduct at work by a 24-year-old colleague, only to watch the situation unravel when the truth came out, and she ended up facing the real consequences instead. So just looking at this, right? This is actually an experience that a lot of guys go through. Okay, you might be nice to a woman, you might be friendly, you might think that you're just, welcoming her or whatever the case may be. A lot of the guys actually end up regretting interacting with women in this sort of way these days, because, all it takes is one sort of false accusation, and before you know it, your career is over or your social life is over or whatever. This kind of stuff, people make fun of this all the time, man. But this is exactly the kind of stuff that puts men off of talking to women altogether. Because guys are logical, right? They'll sit there and they'll go, okay, why would I go out there and socialize with all these women? Why would I go out there and try and make a good impression and be friendly when I have a duty to myself to protect myself from these people who oftentimes lie about men? Okay? So I'm a 29-year-old male, he says. I work in tech. I work in software engineering, to be specific. It's a good job. It's a good team. And up until about 6 months ago, I actually liked going to work every day. Enter Emma, 24, the new hire. She was bright, talkative, and seemed to get along with almost everybody at first. It didn't take long to realize Emma had a habit of stirring the pot, small lies, gossiping about co-workers, acting like she was above everyone, even though she was new there. She was fresh out of university, he says. I kept it professional and stayed out of her way. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough. Something interesting about these stories I've been noticing, guys, is I've noticed that a lot of workplaces are actually more reluctant to hire some women these days, especially in these sorts of fields, tech fields and stuff that are typically dominated by men. Because it can be a dangerous thing to introduce women to these sorts of environments, guys. Like, all it takes is one accusation and then the whole thing's just a damn mess. No, people are there to work, they're there to do their job. And I've seen a lot of these bosses, a lot of these people in charge of employing people and doing the hiring. They're like, I would love to be able to hire women, but I don't really want to. Okay, because it can get very messy very quick. Now, obviously, as far as I understand, this is illegal. You can't discriminate on the basis of gender. But let's be real, places do this all the damn time, guys. I can't remember the last time I saw a male flight attendant, all right? Even though they do exist. But you get my point. He says, one morning, I got an email from HR asking me to come in for a private discussion. No details, just a time and a room number. I walked in to find my manager, a HR representative, and Emma sitting across the table, arms crossed. I was accused of making inappropriate comments in a Slack thread, a thread I knew didn't exist. So not only is this woman stupid enough, okay, to make false accusations, but she's also making accusations that don't even make sense. I would argue a lot of the times also, guys, like, the women single out the dudes who are avoiding them. And it's almost like the lack of attention is what causes them to accuse you in the first place. It's like some sort of perceived rejection going on, where like the dude will be like, okay, I don't want to engage with this because I don't want to cause any issues with this woman. And then she takes that guy who doesn't really, who's not really communicating with her, who's, protecting himself, not having the discussions with her. And so a lot of them get pissed and they end up doing crap like this, even though the dude is trying to steer well clear of the situation. He says, they laid out the accusation. I calmly asked to see the messages. Emma claimed I had deleted them. Fortunately, our company's Slack had backup archives that couldn't be edited or deleted by employees. IT pulled the logs and there were no messages. Nothing. Zero. Then things got really awkward for her. So this is completely ridiculous, right? This woman makes this accusation and then can't even back it up with actual evidence. Okay, has the audacity, or, you know, actually maybe the stupidity to sit in the room while this is going on as well. Usually when women make these sort of accusations, man, they don't stick around in the room. They just rely on the vagueness of the situation, and they don't actually want to see the guy face to face as they're making the accusation. But this woman probably thought that this would actually stick immediately, and they wouldn't look at the logs. They wouldn't be able to pull the logs. But of course they were. Like, this is an IT company. What was this? They're working in tech, for goodness sake. And this woman can't even understand that they're obviously going to pull the logs, even though she said that they were deleted. Right? So absolutely nothing there. Turns out Emma had also accused 2 other guys in different departments of harassment over the past 3 months. Every single time, no evidence, no witnesses, and just her word. This time, HR decided they had seen enough. She was suspended pending investigation within a day, and a week later, she was fired. Here's the thing. I think this woman should have got fired the first time. She should have been fired immediately. She should have seen legal ramifications for doing this. This is how you get these people to stop, is you actually are supposed to have consequences beyond that of firing them after they've done it 3 consecutive times. You know, like, what really is this? The person does it 3 times, and now this should not be some 3 strike system. You know what I mean? Like, somebody goes out there, guys, they commit a serious crime, which in my view this is, really. Why would a person who commits a serious crime, why should they be able to get 3 chances? They are able to do it 3 consecutive times before anything happens to them. And then when something happens to them, it's just them getting fired from the job they should have been fired from in the first place. Makes no sense to me, man. I think a lot of these women get off way too damn easy, especially, you know, given the consequences this could have on the dude's life. When security escorted her out, she was screaming about how this company doesn't support women and how she was punished for speaking up. The entire office watched it happen. Nobody said a word because we all knew the truth. Again, this is something very common, guys, is women try and pull this card of like, oh, the whole place is against me, whether that be the workplace or everybody in the, you know, the classroom, whether she's in university or whatever. They always try and make it like, if you don't accept what's being said, even though they have no evidence whatsoever, then that means you're, number one, you don't support women. That's what that means. And number 2, the woman is the victim in this situation because she's being punished for something that she had the right to do, which she didn't. It's crazy, guys. Like, I see a lot of stories like this where women think that they're being punished for speaking up. He says it took a few weeks, but the air in the office cleared. Management made a quiet announcement about respecting professional standards without naming names. I didn't get an apology from Emma. Of course, I didn't expect one, but I did get a private apology from HR for how the situation was handled. They admitted they should have vetted the claim before pulling me into a formal meeting. Oh, you don't say. You know, at least they apologized, but like, still, guys, you know, life-damaging things come of this for men, right? This is no silly little, oh, sorry, my bad. I guess we should have vetted the claim first. Yeah, like, obviously you should have vetted the claim. Okay, you should have vetted it immediately. And then when it was proven false, which it obviously was, she should have been sacked and you should have taken her to court. Or the dude should have been given the option to take her to court. Anyway, she should have been legally punished, in my opinion. He says, this experience taught me something. False accusations are real and they are serious. When someone weaponizes believe all allegations culture without evidence, it not only hurts the accused, but it also makes it harder for real victims to be believed. Exactly, right? And this is something all the, you know, all the girls who do this crap, by the way, they love this sentence right here because they all, I swear to you guys, they all think that they're the real victims. You know, like, a woman who falsely accuses men will see this story and then be like, yeah, you know what? I am a real victim. That's the craziest part, guys, is like, The people who this does not apply to always get the most excited about this sentence. I really hope this makes sense, guys, because there's always people who, like, you go out there and say, yeah, it really damages the true victims, which it does, by the way. But the wrong type of people, you can see they get all giddy when you say a sentence like this because they're like, yeah, I'm the real victim here. And I swear to you, those people are also the false accusers, guys. The ones who are really excited when they hear a sentence like this. Crazy. There needs to be consequences for lies, he says. Otherwise, the system becomes a weapon. Final thoughts. I'm lucky, he says. I had receipts, I had a reputation, I stayed calm, and I didn't lash out. But not everybody is so lucky. Totally agree with this. In fact, I think a lot of men are not lucky. A lot of guys, they get hit with a false accusation like this. And I swear, even when stuff like this goes to court, guys, from what I have seen of these sorts of false accusations, I don't think the burden of proof is high enough, right? Like, from what I have seen of these situations, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that women should have to prove this crap to an incredibly high standard. And from what I've seen, they don't. You know, depending on the jurisdiction, I imagine this changes, okay? But like a lot of the times, women make these sorts of accusations, guys, and it's not like they have to, you know, prove it to a significant degree. They just have to prove it more than like a 50% odds, you know? And if you've got some jury who's full of women, of course they're going to believe you. I think the whole situation is stupid. False accusers should be held liable legally for doing it. Guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.